name is Tara Bentley, and I'm the Executive Director for the Indiana Association of Home Educators, otherwise known as the IAHE.
And my name is Courtney Nalen. I am a homeschooling mom of two who also works full-time outside of my home and a volunteer with the IAHE.
Together, we're your co-hosts for Season 2 of the Homeschool Indiana podcast. We'll be here each week sharing information to help you homeschool, keep you updated on what you need to know, and have some fun along the way. So let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Homeschool Indiana podcast. I'm Tara Bentley, and I'm just so happy to have you here with us today. In this episode, I'm going to share with you a chat that I had with Dr. Drew Flam from Grace College. Grace College is one of the sponsors for our 2025 IAHE Parenting and Homeschool Conference. I sure hope you'll be joining us in Fort Wayne coming up soon. Dr. Flam and I had a great conversation that I know many parents who are looking forward to college for their children will find helpful and informative. So let me tell you just a little bit about Dr. Flam. He began his tenure as the 7th president of Grace College and Grace Theological Seminary in 2022, and he has served in Christian higher education for over 2 decades. Under his leadership, Grace has experienced record-breaking growth across both the college and the seminary. So I won't keep it here any longer. We're so grateful to Grace College for their partnership, and let's dive right in. Well, welcome, Dr. Drew Flam. Welcome to the Homeschool Indiana podcast. I am so happy to chat with you today on this cold, wintry day. And you and I have talked a little bit, right? And so you are up in Northeast, right? Northeast Indiana.
That's right. Right. We're considered Northeast, but it's right sort of in the central part between South Bend and Fort Wayne in beautiful Winona Lake, Indiana, which is beautiful in the winter and the summer.
Oh, okay. Well, we've talked a little bit. So I am in Southeast Indiana, and I have a very rare occurrence where I have far more snow than you probably do in the northern part of the state.
You can go ahead and keep it too. We like to give one, and so we just generously are going to allow you to have all the snow this time of year.
Oh, I don't need it, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I have already shared your bio with our listeners during the introduction. So I just want to let you then, just off the cuff, give a more personal introduction about you, your family, and specifically what led you to Grace College and Winona Lake.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I had the great honor to grow up in a Christ-centered family where education was valued, and distinctly remember growing up, my dad was a Christian school administrator, and my mom ran the homeschool program for the Christian school. So most of my friends were homeschool families that my mom would work with through the school. And so even to this day, many of those relationships persist and a value for Christian education. And then I graduated high school, went off to Cedarville University to complete my undergraduate studies. Through a series of events, ended up working at Cedarville in their fundraising area. And after a number of years, an opportunity at Grace opened up. And my wife was from Northern Indiana, and we wanted to raise our family in this area. And so I came to Grace College and have now been here for 11 years. And this is my 3rd year serving as president. And my wife and I have 3 kids. She's homeschooling one of them as we speak right now at home. And again, education is so important to our family, and the opportunity to use education as a tool for discipleship. And so that's what we think is important as a family, but that's also what we think is important for Grace College.
So you and I guess, have something in common then. So were you born and raised in Ohio?
I was not born. I was born in Iowa, and then moved to Ohio in high school. But for many years lived in Xenia, Ohio, not far from where you grew up.
That's right, because I grew up in Englewood, Ohio. And so as someone who, spends the majority of your life in Ohio and then you move across the state line, we're some, I don't know if it's lovingly, but sometimes you can be referred to as a buckahoo. Have you ever been referred to?
No, I have not heard that one. I married a true Hoosier. So, I've sort of been grafted in, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you refer to yourself as a buckahoo anytime you want.
There you go.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about the importance of a Christ-centered education. Our homeschool parents obviously know that, and we understand that that's why we're homeschooling most of the time, K through 12. It's very important. Very often, though, as you're finishing up high school and looking toward post-secondary education, sometimes you think, okay, my child is ready. Maybe they don't need to focus on a Christ-centered education, and we begin looking maybe at a secular university. But why do you think that it is very important to continue a Christ-centered education into the college years?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it is all about that discipleship process. And, as parents, we are primarily responsible for our children's discipleship when they're in our homes. And college is this transition time when they become an adult. And now, whether they follow Christ or not, and what that looks like is up to them. And it becomes their responsibility. And what we know from even the statistics is that a vast majority of those who walk away from their faith do so between the ages of 18 and 24. Those are vital years for a student to make that decision that this whole Christian thing, this whole Christ-centered thing, this Bible thing that my parents have grown up discipling me in is now going to be something I take on as my faith. And so I believe Christian education and excellent Christian education, like we offer at Grace College, is a part of that discipleship process. It is now that time for a student to make their faith their own, to do it in a safe environment, but an environment that's going to challenge them to now think broadly and think deeply and to consider what does it mean for them to be a Christian professional in whatever chosen field they have for their future careers. And so that's where we want to come alongside and join up with families, join up with students in their discipleship process as we mentor them into what we hope is a lifelong journey of following Christ.
Right. And you mentioned the studies, and I don't have any of them at my fingertips, but we know we've seen them over the years. We've seen the Barna studies, and we know that your kids do better when you homeschool, right? Like we know those statistics exist. So K through 12, you're equipping your children the best that you can by keeping them at home and keeping them safe and homeschooling them. And that, I hate to boil it down to this, but your odds are better, right? You do better. You're more likely for your child to follow your beliefs in your faith system when they continue in a Christian college.
Yeah, that's very true. And we hope that's true because everything we do at a place like Grace is Christ-centered. Our spiritual vision on our campus that our founder gave us when Grace Seminary was founded many eons ago in 1937 is to know Christ and to make him known. That really is our motto. In fact, there's a rock right outside of my office, and I walk by it on the days that aren't cold and snowy to remind myself of why am I here today? Well, I'm here to know Christ and to make him known. And so no matter what you're doing on our campus, in our classrooms, we want faith integration. We believe the Bible has something to say about everything. So whether you're studying English or you're studying history or you're studying math or you're studying business, engineering, nursing, there are truths of Scripture that apply to each of those disciplines and those courses. And so we want Christ to be known in the classroom. Sports and athletics and student activities. We want Christ to be known on the court. We've had a lot of championships recently, but those are just opportunities to make Christ known. And for us, we have required chapel for students. So 3 times a week we gather as a family, Grace family, and all of our students. We come together. We worship Christ. We have pastors or speakers who come and share from his word. We study a book of the Bible every year. We're studying 1st and 2nd Samuel this year, and we have the theme of humility reigns. And so we're walking through 1st and 2nd Samuel and seeing how Christ exalts those who are humble and humbles those who exalt themselves. And we think those are all ways that we can come alongside in that discipleship mentoring process to usher students hopefully into a mature life that leads them to, making Christ known no matter where they go or what they do. And I get just so excited to think about our students and the places they will go and the people they will impact. Places I'll never go, people I'll never impact, but we get to be a small part of them being launched out into the world to be ambassadors for Christ.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I had shared with you that I was raised in a Grace Brethren church. So I remember spending time on the Grace College campus as a teenager. I did get to go back and speak a couple years ago at an event for homeschoolers, but it makes me think now, oh wait, do I have a photo of that rock? Like I
Oh
almost,
yeah,
I better,
maybe, if you do, please send it to me. I would love
okay.
that.
I will go looking for that. So I'm going to pick up on what you said about discipleship. And so we know what that looks like as parents in our own home and with homeschooling. So how do you implement discipleship in college? And what does that look like for these older students?
Right. Yeah. We talk a lot about mentoring, is the word we use. And when we use the word mentoring, we mean that in an academic sense. We mean that in a career sense. We mean that in a relational sense. And we mean that in a spiritual sense. And really, our hope is for our students to come in and be mentored. So that by the time they're a junior or a senior, their second, third, fourth year of school, they're ready to be a mentor. So we have student mentors. We have student mentors, who are RAs or who are growth group leaders leading Bible studies on their floors in the dormitories and the residence halls. We have student mentors who come alongside first year students in their coursework. And so we want students to become mentors, and then we want to partner them up with faculty. And that's why our faculty are here. I mean, this is world-class faculty, PhDs from some of the best institutions around the world. And they're at a place like Grace College because that's what they want. They want not to necessarily do the biggest research project ever. They want to spend time with 18, 19, 20-year-olds in helping them develop their God-given gifts. And so our faculty, through advising and just on their own, love on students so well. And I hear often of professors who are leading mentorship groups or Bible studies on their own, having students into their homes, putting on events for students, because that's what they're here for, is to invest. And we're in a wonderful community as well, Winona Lake, Warsaw, with a lot of wonderful faith leaders who want to come alongside our students through the churches. And we encourage our students, get into the local churches. There are so many good local churches, and find people who want to come alongside you and invest in you. And so we're thankful for the partnership with our local churches. So, coaches, faculty, staff, all of us, that's why we're here. And that's why mentoring is one of our core values, because we want to come alongside students in an intimate way in their discipleship process.
So how does the size of Grace College allow you to do that? Because I have my own impressions of the size of the college, and we can all say small, big, medium. I feel like I'm going to do break into the three bears, Goldilocks and the three bears here. Not too big, not too small.
Yep.
But how does that play into the ability to mentor your students, and specifically, the percentage of homeschooled students that you have on campus?
Yeah. So we have about a total of 1,300, little more than that, undergraduate students on our campus, traditional undergraduate students. We also have a seminary. We have some online programs, and I want to touch on some of those as well, because they could be beneficial to families. Of those 1,300 students, about 13 of them have graduated homeschool. So they're coming to us having graduated from a homeschool. We think probably 20+% of them, at some point in their educational career, homeschooled. And so it's a significant number of our students on our campus. And we don't really have the desire to get big. We have about 475, 500 new students every year. We feel like that's around the right number of students for the kind of educational opportunity we want to provide, which is one where you're going to have, smaller classrooms. You're going to get to know your fellow students well. If you want to be involved, there's going to be a vast number of opportunities to get involved, whether it's in the arts or it's in sports or it's in some sort of club or it's in student leadership. And so we want it to be that you're walking across the sidewalk and every day you're going to run into many people who know you. And it's one of the things we value. You can't hide. You're going to be known on our campus. And we want that because we think life on life relationships is the way God created us to grow in relationship. So we love our students. And I'm always amazed at just the ways that our students create such an amazing Christ-centered culture on our campus and welcome new students onto our campus.
Do you have specific resources for homeschool families?
Some of the things that I would talk about for homeschool families, one of the most significant ones for us is our dual enrollment opportunities. And so, I know many homeschool families are looking for those, especially in those high school years of, how can I get some early college credit? And yet do it at a place where, I can trust what my student's going to be participating in. So whether it be just taking a couple classes, certainly a lot of online options for that, or if someone lives locally, they're free to come on our campus and take some courses as well. And those are pretty inexpensive credits to be able to earn and achieve. We also have an associate's degree program specifically designed for students in high school. We call it our college launch or our associate's degree program. We have a number of students. That's a very growing program amongst homeschool families, especially where in your junior year of high school, you begin taking college courses. And by the time you graduate high school, you have earned an associate's degree. I was talking to a young man last year. He graduated and he did this program through homeschool, came to Grace College afterwards. He graduated from Grace in 2.5 years with his undergraduate degree and an MBA.
Wow.
Because he had already earned his associate's degree while in high school. And so it's just a great way to kind of early on get some credits, get some learning happening, and those transfer to Grace, but they transfer elsewhere as well. They're part of the core that can go to really any institution in the state of Indiana.
So specifically, I know you have the seminary, that's a part of your history and your background there, but specifically, is there something that Grace is known for academically? Your top degree programs, I guess.
Well, I'd venture to say there's a lot of them. Our largest major on campus, our largest single major is elementary education. So we have a large number of elementary education students. It's a phenomenally highly ranked program. And so if a student's interested in education, that certainly is available. Some of the accolades we've recently received, we've had 100% pass rate on the NCLEX nursing exam for the last couple of years. So those interested in going into the health professions. In our business school, that's our largest school, is the School of Business. And really, especially our accounting program has become nationally known, top 10% CPA pass rate, and a phenomenal accounting program for those interested in going into accounting, finance, where there's a ton of opportunity. Growing for us is engineering and computer science. We just launched an engineering program a few years ago. It's fully accredited. And so we're seeing a number of students starting to come into that program. It's growing quite quickly. And we're just now launching computer science as a growing program as well. So those would be some of the ones I would highlight. And then we also, as you mentioned, started as a seminary. So ministry is always going to be important to us. For those who are interested in going into missions or going into the pastorate, we have some unique programs where you can earn your Master's of Divinity alongside of your bachelor's degree in 5 years. And so we have a number of students who come in and are like, wow, I can, what most people did in 7 years, I can do in 5 years. And so we are seeing some growth in our ministry programs as well. And behavioral science is been historically a significant area for us and growing. If you are interested in counseling, coming alongside families in counseling as well. That's an excellent program on our campus.
Awesome. So I feel like you've described, a little side note, IAHE, our accountant, is a Grace graduate, and he's a pastor. So see, everything.
Wow, there you go, an accounting pastor. I mean, that's quite the Swiss Army knife of skill sets.
Well, it's because of Grace, right? I will give you guys a shout out for our accountant that shall not be named, but yes.
That's awesome.
So, okay, so let's talk about, just aside from the academics for a moment, just a little bit more about Winona Lake. When I was up there speaking, probably 4 or 5 years ago, after the event, I remember one of my team members taking me for ice cream at a little place, and we just sat and looked at the lake. So that is my memory. But
Yes.
What is it about Winona that just makes this a unique community? I believe it can even be referred to as a resort community.
It is.
So just about this little space in Indiana.
I sometimes call it like the Midwest coast with a little bit of snow. This little enclave we have in Winona Lake with a beautiful lake. And so we have a couple boats that we own as a campus, and there's a skating rink in our little town, just a block from campus. Lots of great restaurants and shops, and 13 miles of mountain biking trails that I like to go on, and a very safe community. Because it's small and intimate in a resort community, it's also really, really safe. And so it's a wonderful place to have a college. But it also is right next door to Warsaw, Indiana. And Warsaw is the orthopedic capital of the world. So over 50% of the hips, knees, and elbows and shoulders that are distributed throughout the world are designed, manufactured, headquartered out of Warsaw, Indiana, which just provides a ton of opportunity, because that's a massive and growing industry that needs every sort of kind of professional person to be engaged in it. As an elderly population, and pickleball gets important. More people need knees and hips than ever before. And so we're really thankful to have just the industry partnerships that we're able to have. And we have a very close town-gown relationship, which is kind of unique for a theologically conservative institution to then have this robust engagement with our local community. And we're big enough, and our community is small enough where we matter. And so we're at the table. And yet our community is big enough to have most everything you would want, Meijer and Walmart and all the shops. If we could just get a Chick-fil-A and a Target, we'd be set.
I'd settle for just the Chick-fil-A.
Just the Chick-fil-A, yeah. If we can get some of God's chicken, we would be set. But
exactly.
We've got just about everything else that you would want in our town.
Awesome, that's great. So what else is it that you think that families need to know if they're considering sending their child to Grace?
A couple of things that I haven't hit on as deeply yet is, again, just that academic excellence piece, that we value doing our best because we believe that's a priority God has given us, that excellence matters. And so we want to have the best doctors who happen to also be Christians. We want to develop the best business professionals who happen to also be Christians. And so that's why they operate their businesses the way they do. And so excellence matters to us. And so, we're going to work for the accreditations, and we're going to work for the top 10%. And we're going to go after those things as a way to be excellent. Affordability is something I'd also hit on. One thing that's interesting on our campus, if you come and ask a student, what year are they? They're not going to say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. They're going to say, I'm a first year, a second year, a third year, a fourth year. And the reason for that is, one, so many of them do programs like College Launch, where they come in having earned high school credit or even an associate's degree. And also we have a 3-year bachelor's program. So every program on our campus, except for a few in the health sciences, nursing and medical imaging, and also engineering, every other program can be completed in 3 years. And so we've designed our curriculum to be able to do that. And so, about 25% of our students will graduate in 3 years. A number of our students will then also go on to earn a master's degree, and they'll do it in 4 years. And they'll keep their undergraduate tuition throughout, which allows them to essentially earn a master's degree for free. And so they graduate and they walk across stage, and I get to hand them both a undergraduate degree and a master's degree at the same time that they've earned in 4 years. And so I think that's a really unique program that we have that I'm so thankful for. And then, again, I would just reemphasize that local community that we have, the small class sizes, the dedicated faculty, and the opportunities just to get involved, to be engaged on campus. Those are all unique, fantastic things. And I would just encourage, come visit, come check it out. Come see this beautiful place called Winona Lake and experience chapel, and come be a part of what Christ is doing here on our campus.
I think you mentioned a little bit ago about some championships. So I guess we should ask you, what is that about? Obviously, with your extracurriculars and teams. Yeah.
Yeah. The Lord has really blessed the last number of years. Again, we have an amazing athletic director, Chad Briscoe, and our coaches. We compete at the NAIA level, which is similar to Division II for the NCAA. We also compete in what's called the NCCAA, the National Christian College Athletic Association. I think it's now 16 plus athletic, sports, varsity sports. Bowling is one of those. We've got a bass fishing team. We have a women's rugby team.
You have a bass fishing team.
We have a bass fishing boat for the bass fishing team. That's the beauty of being on Winona Lake. So we've got a lot of different options. Shooting sports is pretty big on our campus as well. We have a very large shooting sports team for those who are interested in that. And so there's a lot of extracurricular opportunities. My student trainer who trains me twice a week, his name's Josiah, homeschool student, came to Grace, wanted to play soccer, but then ended up on the track team. Now has just become a phenomenal javelin thrower and, exercise science major, going to do wonderful things in life. So there's opportunities for students to get involved in even JV athletics or varsity athletics or club sports as well on our campus. And so we welcome anyone and everyone to check out those opportunities.
Well, that is so much fun. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And we are so excited to have Grace as a part of our 2025 conference coming up in March. And even if you're hearing this podcast later on, we still encourage you to go to grace.edu and check them out. Do a visit, learn more. And thank you again, Dr. Flam. This has been a lot of fun, not just for me personally, because, you took me down memory lane as well. But it's always good when we can share with families about the different opportunities that are available to them.
Well, thank you. And Tara, thank you for what you do as a homeschool family ourselves. We appreciate all the resources that are available to us in the community that is homeschool. My son's favorite day of the week is the day that he gets together with a bunch of other families, and they do history and geography together and have lunch together and then play football. That's probably his favorite part, but just the community that is the homeschool community. And thanks for your work in bringing us together and resourcing us well. Thanks for the partnership with Grace College.
Well, we are so glad to do it. And our job here is to protect the freedom that your family has, that other families have. And we're actually recording this on the day, which is the start of the Indiana legislative session. So our government affairs team is very busy. They are at it. And as always, we'll do everything we can to maintain freedom and do everything we can to encourage, protect, and serve homeschool families. So thank you again. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you the next time. Thank you.